Morning.
Well, insurance companies are under fire after it was revealed some are refusing travel insurance to older Australians. The federal government has described it as discrimination, but what can be done? Now, we talked about this yesterday, the charges being led by Financial Services Minister Bill Shorten. We said we'd get him on the program this morning. He joins us now. Bill, since we talked about it yesterday, we've been swamped by emails from older Australians giving us examples. This is just rampant. Are you surprised?
Well, I am surprised, actually. I read about the issue in the newspaper the other week, and I just mentioned this to a couple of my staff, and one of them told me that a very healthy father who's in his later years couldn't get insurance to travel to America, so he won't travel because he's a prudential sort of a chap and wants to have travel insurance. And then as soon as you start testing it with older people, you realise that insurance companies are just saying they're working on this very old-fashioned view that once you're at retirement age, you're basically such a big risk it's hard to get insurance.
Yeah. What are the facts, though, Bill? Because, of course, insurance companies match a premium to the risk, but are older Australians riskier propositions when they travel? They don't go to full moon parties, do they?
No, that's right. I think there's insurance companies do have an exemption to be able to discriminate on the basis of age if there is actuarial or statistical data. Now, that's the big if that evidence is there. I think, first of all, with non-medical related travel insurance, like if you lose your baggage, who cares how old you are if you lose your baggage?
Yep.
Or recently with the volcano in Chile and a whole lot of people had their plans ruined, that's got nothing to do with the age of the traveller. So first of all, there's non-medical travel insurance. Don't see the case for age discrimination there. Secondly, let's start examining some of the information which says that people of a certain age are too risky. I don't buy that. There's a lot of healthier older people, a lot of unhealthy younger people around. I think it's too blunt a tool, and insurance companies need to become more consumer savvy.
So what are you doing about it? Are you giving the insurance companies a deadline to get back to you with a please explain?
Oh, well, first things first, we've written to them. We want to meet with the insurance industry. You'll always get some outcomes, I believe, through intelligent, rational discussion with people of goodwill. But then we're also we're going to raise with the insurance industry that they have a simple, plain English travel insurance key facts statement like we've done with flood insurance. Beyond that, there are probably some legislative or regulatory tools. I'd rather talk it through and self-regulate than regulate. Okay. But the Human Rights Commission has powers upon receipt of a complaint. And indeed, if the insurance industry just tells us to go away, it's not our problem, what do we know? We can always have a look at the actual legislation and regulations to change.
Can you keep us up to date with that? Also, while we're talking about homework, if you like, can you bring us up to date on the changes to flood insurance? We had you on a few months ago. You were starting that process with the insurance companies to make it a bit clearer. How are you going?
Well, the insurance industry's worked well with us on this matter. For the last 40 years, we've had many different definitions of what is a flood. But as we saw in the tragic floods last summer, if the water's coming over the floorboards, you don't really care if it's come from a man-made watercourse, a storm or a river rising. You just think that your home and contents policy, if you've got flood insurance, should cover it. We've now got an agreed one definition for what is a flood. We've got a definition of a flood down to 42 words. That still sounds quite long, but believe me, compared to the forests that have died to cover the pages for the small print, it's a big improvement. The industry's worked well with us. We're currently tabled that in the Parliament. Okay. So we have got a common definition of flood now, so hopefully people living in the same street, if they've both got flood insurance, will get a payout.
Okay. And even more information, a different matter, because the ALP conference had a lot of other big issues. Your bit was overlooked on the National Disability Insurance Scheme. A lot of people interested in this. Just explain it, where we're up to.
Well, the government has decided, and the Prime Minister said it in her opening speech, but the government decided before the last election, the people with disability and their carers get a second-class deal. They should get resources as of right, not trying to explain, did I get my injury in a car crash or did I get it at birth? And I'm talking about severe or profound impairment. Yep. So what we want to do is create a scheme whereby all Australians and their carers can access funding in a timely fashion. Jenny Macklin's the Senior Minister looking after a big part of this. We're now creating the initial infrastructure to set up the scheme, a national insurance scheme. This is as important as the minimum wage, superannuation, Medicare or aged care. It's a fifth pillar, which means that as Aussies, just because they have an impairment, don't mean that they've got to live a second-class life their whole life.
Fabulous. That's music to the ears of a lot of carers. Bill, good to see you. Thank you for that. Keep us up to date.
Good morning. No worries. Cheers.
News is coming up.